All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Jack and Kaylin as always, and we've got a very special guest with us today. My
Not that
man,
special.
Michigan legend, better than Jake Butt. That's what they're saying. I don't know.
When
That's
people
what
are
they're
talking
saying.
about it.
I've never heard anyone say that once in my life.
Ian Bunting is here in studio with us. Ian, how you doing?
Fantastic. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You know,
We might have to hit up the pool or something.
I was gonna say
I
it's
don't
nice
hate
little
that at
pool
all.
day.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Or
one
wake
bit.
surfing. Ian's a wake
I
surfing
would
legend after last week.
love to go get on a lake.
Okay.
Have you guys tried that before?
No, I'm too
No.
scared. Too scared of the water.
Scared.
Yeah,
There's open water. It's like
yeah,
an
dude,
inland
there's
lake.
fucking
That
sharks and fish out
Well,
there.
yeah, I mean, you never know
Alright.
what's out there these days, right?
I don't know
that's
if you
true.
guys have seen the Meg. There's a sequel to it, Meg 2.
Sure, I've heard of
There's
it.
shit out there we don't know about.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe in the Pacific Ocean. I don't know about like an inland lake in southeast Michigan.
I don't know. They
Never
say
know,
bull
man.
sharks can swim up to, I don't know, a few thousand miles upstream in Mississippi River.
That
fresh
could be.
water.
Yeah.
That
Who
could
knows?
be.
Maybe they'll
I'm
make
gonna
their way to a
remove myself
glacial
from
lake
that.
near you.
Yeah. All right. Yesterday, I mean, first of all, dub. It is Victory Sunday.
It is.
Cheers. Is that a beer or
No, it's one of those ghost energy drinks. I'm not hungover today, but I'm just very tired.
no free ads? But
No free
that's
ads. It's no Blue
Uh,
by 90 beer.
It's well, so that was what I was just about to say is we had a victory. We had multiple victories yesterday. One was on the field. What it was 30-3, right? Was
Yep.
the end final score. The more important victory was the debut of Blue by 90 beer, though. I would say a smashing success. That's biased opinion, but that's me.
If I had to rate it out of 10, I can't put a 10 just because then there's no room for improvement. So I'm
True.
gonna say it's a 9.7.
9.7. I like that. That's a Dave
And the
Portnoy
label.
move.
The label was a
Label's
huge
great.
win too. Looked incredible.
Great design job by Justin.
The label is like half the battle, I would say. Right? Yeah.
Because you got to
More
sell
than half,
people on the
honestly.
label.
Yeah.
More than half the battle. It was beautiful, though.
Very
Pretty solid. Unbiased.
Yeah,
opinion?
from an unbiased, vantage point, I did try it yesterday. It was delicious, and the label, A1.
A1.
Fantastic.
There you go. It is.
Up a Google review.
It is very chuggable. It was chuggable yesterday. It was beer bongable.
Yeah.
It can also be a sipper too. So I feel like it plays both ways, right?
Well, it's
We
got a
didn't
little bit of
shotgun
that
it.
IPA taste without being,
Like heavy. Right?
so IPA annoyingly
Yeah.
like in
Strong.
your face. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, shout out to North Peak Brewing. We had the Blue by 90 beer and then Hale beer as well, the Hale IPA. So yeah, those those are two pretty good options. It's truly the Michigan game day beers. Like that's your beer selection for Michigan game day.
Who would have thought when we're chugging random beers over COVID, getting wasted on the podcast, that we would have our own beer?
I mean, actually, we were essentially speaking it into existence on those first episodes.
Kept trying to.
Where we would have like an entire 6-pack of beer in 45
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah,
A little bit of manifestation.
little manifestation for sure. But yeah, shout out North Peak. We appreciate you. Come stop by the tailgate. We'll be there the next 3 weeks. Every game this year, but next 3 weeks for sure. We got 3:30 coming up, which
Thank God.
best tailgate time. Best
Yep.
tailgate time by far is a 3:30 start, and then night game against Bowling Green as well. Could be dangerous. I don't know.
I'm glad that we're working ourselves towards it, right? It goes noon, then we got 3:30, then we got
That is true.
7:30. We're going through our little tailgate training camp right now.
We do need some
I
preseason
love it.
games to get going.
So as someone who's never really tailgated before, because
Mhm.
I've always been on the other end of it, you're gonna have to explain a little bit of this process, this history, and some of your guys' goals for this 3:30
Oh,
that's
yeah.
coming up. Because
I think we got to
potentially
do
my first
like,
real getting after a tailgate. We'll see.
oh, okay. I'm excited for this now. I think we got to do a little like breakfast buffet, get some coffee out there.
I like that. I
maybe-
mean, we'll get a little bit later start. Like I was in the lot at 6:30.
yeah, so you probably
on
get to a lot at
Saturday.
like 8,
Yeah,
8:30.
I mean, for setup, we'll be there a little earlier, but like I think we'll start like getting, first crack of the beer like 9
Yeah.
a.m. I think. Then you
Yeah.
got to get 6 hours of drinking.
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Just enough time.
Yeah, just
You know
enough
what
time.
they say. It's tough
It's-
to drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
You're damn right about that. I feel like R.I.P. Jimmy Buffett. That's like a Jimmy Buffett, like,
Oh, man.
mentality, right?
That one really hit me hard. This is, that was a special place in my heart, that guy's music. And
Yeah. I
Should
feel
have
like
had
we
margaritas at the tailgate.
The
we
tailgate
should
was
probably have like a
great, too.
Margaritaville theme next week, right?
Dude, I'm down. That'd be fun.
Are we gonna start?
Let's do
theming
it.
you would
tailgates?
be smiling down.
He would be
For
smiling
sure.
down for sure.
Let's do that. Margaritaville themed tailgate.
I like that a lot.
90s
All right,
tailgate.
we're gonna have
the week
to
after?
say that again.
Little 90s tailgate the week after.
I don't hate that either.
Sure.
I could do a 90s theme. 90s like early 2000s theme.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're listening to this, you better be there because we're gonna have a little fun. That's for sure. So I will say there were some bumps in the road. Things could have been better at the tailgate. We're learning. It is like those preseason games. I feel like the team had the same thing. Maybe the O-line needed a little bit of some improvements. We need some improvements as well. So we'll be back. We'll be better. We'll learn. Just to have more success next time. So yeah, let's talk about this game. I mean, I think the highlights, let's start with that. JJ looked unreal.
Beauty.
26 for 30 for 3 TDs. Like 26 for 30 is crazy. How many QBs are at the college level putting up 26 for 30 right now?
Yeah, I mean,
Very few.
statistically, I don't know, but it can't be that many. When I was watching him too, just from someone who has been kind of off and doing their own thing and has only heard stuff about JJ and about Michigan like the last couple of years, he looked great to me. I mean, he just looked so in control of the situation and poised and exactly what, as a teammate, you look for in a quarterback.
Well, I thought it was awesome too. Like watching that game. I mean, JJ, I think he's always been like fucking fantastic, but he was putting throws on the money, like double coverage, roaming in the end zone, just throws it right where he can get it.
That was he put that on a line. That was a
like, holy shit,
laser
dude.
across the whole field too.
I think Swanky or somebody put out a tweet. They're like, JJ's fucking up our Dono Blake Corum Heisman duo because he's gonna take over now.
I think that's a serious thing though. Like I would say sitting here after week 1, like I wouldn't expect any 3 of those to actually be in the Heisman race because it's all the productivity is going to be split amongst the 3, right?
Yeah.
Like it's no longer a one-man show with Blake. I mean, you even saw what Donovan did yesterday too, where he got more carries than Blake did.
Yeah, I was nervous that Blake was hurt.
I think he's fine. I think he's good, but it definitely I don't know if that was the game plan or what, but it definitely was it was a very much a 1-2 punch, like with them being pretty much even rather than it being Blake first and Donovan second. Didn't you think?
Yeah. I think Blake got the fucking crowd rolling after that big run. I was wishing it would have been a touchdown down at like the 2 or the 3. But it was good to see him back and moving quick.
I feel like they
I
all
was
just
talking to
felt so
Justin about that
comfortable,
too, though. You got it. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I felt like everyone, all the skill position players just felt really comfortable. Like JJ just had that ability to like look downfield and like connect with someone and just be like, okay, bomb. It just felt really like, easy almost.
Just fucking slinging it.
What is it like for you? What does it feel like, as an offensive player when a guy, like you said, JJ, it has that command and does it just make everyone else feel that much more comfortable when you have the leader that's calling the plays and he's just like in total control?
Totally. I think it kind of, emanates throughout the whole offense when the person who is the leader of that offense, which is, always the quarterback or almost always the quarterback, when he has that you know you can just count on him, and it's a calming presence, and it's like, regardless of what's going on outside or what the crowd's doing, or if you guys have a bad play, you fuck up a play the one before, like if you can just go back to that kind of grounding leader and that person that it has the poise in the noise, as one of our coaches used to always say.
Poise in the noise,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a little Tim Drevno special, little poise in the noise.
Throwback. That's like a name drop for Michigan fans out there, Tim Drevno.
Yeah, it is a huge confidence boost and something that keeps you guys going and keeps the offense just rolling through regardless of what happens and able to be steady.
Yeah, I think it definitely felt like that yesterday. And I know you were, playing for the Cowboys last year and didn't probably watch as much Michigan football as you would have liked to, but I definitely felt like that was the difference from last year to this year for JJ, where last year, he even said it, I think, in his post-game presser. He was like, last year he was just getting going. He was not confident because he was battling with Cade for the job. He was still, in his first starts of his, college career, still figuring it out. And he was also hurt throughout the offseason, right? So now going into it with a healthy offseason and knowing that you're the guy, I think that's going to be the difference. I mean, if we can get Blake and Donovan going, like how dangerous is this offense with that three-headed monster?
Dude, it's fucking crazy, especially if we can get them receiving the ball out of the backfield too. Another way to work all three of them back into the Heisman, get them in New York City. I'm still rooting for that. I do want to do a little tangent here, a little side note.
All right.
How do we feel about Coach Minter in his debut? Because I'm a little upset.
You're a little upset? What do you got?
Yeah.
What's your beef?
Didn't cover the spread.
Okay, that is
didn't hit the over. So I lost some money on a bet here.
Gotcha. So this is really just personal about you and your betting habits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I need him to run that score up in a week 1 game.
I mean, okay, people are go ahead.
We did fumble on the one.
Facts.
Why are you letting guys fumble, Coach? What are we doing here?
Why is our defensive coordinator letting the offense fumble?
What are we doing?
I mean, but in all seriousness, they didn't score in the fourth quarter, I don't think, and only had 7 points in the third, I believe. Is there okay? I'll ask it this way: with the college football playoff and all that stuff right now, aren't you trying to put up as many points as possible for your resume, even if it's against East Carolina? I still think a 50-7 game is more, is more sexy to a college football playoff person than 30-3, right?
50-7 would have got me the spread in the over, so I would have loved that.
That's all you care
about. But also, with Michigan being number 2 in the country, I think it's their spot to lose, right?
Fair, but I don't know. I just feel like once it gets to the end of the year, those whoever's on that committee is looking at the East Carolina game, and I don't know, they can only look at so many scores, right? So they're just looking at like the face value of it. From your perspective, in like a game like that, like obvious cupcake game, let's call it what it is. Does anybody care what the final score is as long as there's a win? Or
I mean, I think people definitely care. Are you talking about people on the team?
On the team, yeah.
Yeah, I think like if it's a close game, absolutely. That's like, you want to handle your business and you want to make sure that you put a stamp on it and leave no doubt. Right. I think, are people really concerned if it's 50-3 versus 30-3? I mean, at that point, I think it's more about getting into your groove and making sure that you're, knocking the dust off from off season and getting people opportunities to get some time and just get into the swing of things, as opposed to strictly, putting up as many points as possible.
Yeah. Well, how much leeway do you feel like you have in one of those games then for like mistakes and learning curve and all that stuff? Because your coach is out, whatever. There's a lot of your O-line coach and offensive coordinator is out. Do you have some room for improvement? We obviously saw the offensive line. Like I think there was some room for improvement with the run game, and it started with the offensive line not making some blocks. Do you feel like that they're going into this and it's like, all right, next week or when you're watching film, all right, we're learning from this, or is it like, hey, we should be fucking tightened up in week 1?
I think it's unrealistic to go into week 1 and think it's going to be a perfect game. And that it's the same thing. Like when you watch week 1 of the NFL, the amount of penalties that are going to happen, and there surprisingly weren't a ton of penalties.
Yeah, that's
yesterday.
true. That's true.
But I remember after week 1, our coach always coming in and being like, all right, it's week 1. We've been hitting just ourselves for the last month or whatever it is. Like, you have to get those reps in an actual game. There's no way to replicate that, right? Like, you can have an open practice, you can have a scrimmage, you can have a joint practice with another team if it's in the NFL, but there's no real way to replicate an actual game,
right?
Quite, even if it's preseason.
Yeah.
So I think there's always going to be room for improvement after week 1, and there's always going to be a little bit of, getting the kinks kind of ironed out still.
Yeah, that makes sense. It definitely felt like that. Like, you get the cobwebs out a little bit. Like you said, you haven't hit somebody full go in a long time, right? Yeah. Like even in camp, even when it's a full live drill, like you're not going to hit your own guy and try and knock him out, right? And so I think that's where
usually
unless you have beef with him, unless he stole your girl or something. I do think that's just a little bit different. You tell me, but I think it feels like once you get into that first game, everything's a little bit faster, a little bit harder, and it's finally like, oh shit, this is like truly game speed.
Yeah. And it usually, you hit that where it's like, all right, this is a little bit faster, it's a little bit harder, the things are happening a little bit quicker, and it takes you maybe that a few reps or whatever to get into it, but then it starts to normalize, and then you're like, okay, the nerves are out. You take your first big hit and you're like, all right, like I'm good now.
Yeah. I love it.
Let's talk about what I'm getting from this, Ben, is we think Michigan's going to cover spread and hit the over against UNLV.
I've never made a sports bet in my life because I know damn well that if I have no control over it, I'm not betting on it.
Good for you.
I'd rather go waste my money on the blackjack table because at least I feel like I have some
control. Yeah, right.
Even though it's definitely out of your control, like you're at least there. You're making the bet on. Yeah, that's fair.
But you can't be that mad at Coach Minter, Jack. I mean, the head coach was our defensive coordinator, and he basically shut them out until the last 2 seconds.
That's true.
Hey, I'm just saying, maybe Don Brown puts up a better showing. That's all. That's just I'm throwing out just ideas here.
I will say that's a good point though, Kalen. Like this probably was never going to be a sexy offensive game with Jesse Minter as the head coach and both Coach Harbaugh and Sherrone Moore out, right? But I will say Kirk Campbell, the QB coach, I believe, called the plays yesterday. And
I'll be honest, in all seriousness, I loved the offense yesterday.
I mean, they threw it a lot.
A lot.
JJ throwing 30 times is way more than he did most games last year.
And that's him throwing 30 times in what, 3 quarters?
Right. That's a good point as well. Yeah. What's and I think that ECU was stacking the box. They were there to stop the run. And I think their defense was better than a lot of people thought. So I felt like they felt that they had to throw sometimes, but I think it's really good for the offense to know, and it makes me as a fan feel at ease as well to know, like, all right, if somebody does try and sell out on the run, we can make it happen through the air.
Yeah.
because I think that was like all last year, right? It was, everyone's like, oh, JJ can't do it. You got to, all they have is Blake and Dono. And then JJ comes out. How about him throwing on the run? Out of the pocket, he's incredible.
Beauty.
It's great athlete.
And I love the separation from the receivers,
Must be because he's from Illinois. What were you saying?
I just love seeing the receivers get a lot of separation. I felt like there were times last year where I was like they can't get a lot of separation, but in this game, I felt like everyone was running free all the time.
Yeah. I mean, Roman is fast as fuck.
Dude, he just looked like a man amongst boys yesterday.
He really did. And it's so funny because he's just he's a little guy, right? Yeah. But he, I mean, and which is kind of funny too, because the number one in past years has always been the big, tall receiver, right? But he looks natural in the number one, and he made himself. It was clear yesterday that he's the go-to target for JJ. That's for sure. Yeah. What do you think, like from a receiver / tight ends perspective too? When JJ's on the run, or like when he's so good at moving around in the pocket, keeping the play alive. How does that impact you as the guy that's trying to go out and either run your route or stay, break it off or whatever?
I think it always makes it more fun, and it always makes it like the play's never dead.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the big plays come from, when either the pocket collapses or the quarterback, just decides he's going to scramble, or, something happens to where the play's extended. Like that's where you get your big plays, that you get a 40-yard chunk that wasn't even designed to be a 40-yard chunk. So that's the stuff I think that can make a game really exciting for an offense. Like if you look at Kelsey and Mahomes, dude, that the amount of production that they have from moments like that is part of the reason why they're so good.
Well, I mean, I think it's the clip from NFL Films. I can't remember if it was the Super Bowl or some other game in the playoffs last year, where they Kelsey basically they were lined up wrong, and they still both said like one word to each other, knew that where the guy was, ran a completely different play, and still had it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. And to be able to be on that same page is really unreal.
And that's just reps. And which is another thing of where you were talking about earlier of JJ last year versus this year, is like the more reps you have with the guys, the more you trust them, and vice versa, they trust you. Like that's when you can start to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, like you said, it just takes time. In the first 6 games of JJ's career, like that's not going to happen. But then you definitely felt that towards the end. And that's why, I felt like he was really balling out in Ohio State, second half of TCU. Like he was feeling himself. And now I just think he's so confident in his arm. Like he was truly letting it loose yesterday.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I was going to say, because even like the Ohio State game, he kind of, Cornelius was running some routes where he's wide open. JJ kind of just like lofted up and let him go get it. I feel like he was like firing passes off to Roman and like putting it right where it needed to be. Like he looked, his confidence looked incredible.
The one to Cornelius was a laser, and Cornelius he had an unbelievable catch by him,
unreal catch.
To reach back and get it. But like I went and watched the replay of that in slow motion, and that was, he's throwing that thing as hard as he possibly can.
I love it.
Yeah. He's different, man. He's different. I think, I just think that if you still get that run game going, which I'm very confident that this offensive line will, the offensive line is, you have to realize they've never played together. A lot of these guys, they have a new center. Drake Nugent is brand new. He's going to, they, like you said, they just got to get reps together, and they'll know who's blocking who in a lot of those situations. Even Trente Jones didn't get a ton of run last year. You've got Miles Hinton new, Ladarius Henderson new. Like as much as they reloaded with Carson, Barnhart, Keegs, and Zinter, like there's still some new guys, and you're just gonna need some time there.
Who was the starting O-line yesterday?
I believe it was Nugent at center, Keegan and Zinter at guards, and then Barnhart and Miles Hinton, I believe, at the tackles.
Okay, cool.
And then Trente got a decent amount of run as well.
Yeah, I saw him running that like 6 offensive lineman package a couple times too, with all 6 of them.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be fine. I think that the center position is the most important, right? To run. I mean, there's a lot of arguments for what's most important, but you got to get the center like ingrained in the offense, and then that's when it's going to start clicking.
Can we talk about Ernest Heisman?
Dude, he's a beast.
What a fucking beauty, that guy.
He's a beast. I mean, especially for coming into a linebacker room of Junior Colson and Mike Barrett, who are already like super, very, very high level guys. And to be able to come in, he's still a sophomore.
Ernest Heisman?
Yeah, he was a freshman at Nebraska last year, I believe.
Oh shit! I was thinking he was the guy from. He's a sophomore. Did the guy from Coastal get in? Did he play at all?
Josiah Stewart? Yeah, he was in a decent amount.
Okay.
Hausman was really good. Derek Moore is an absolute beast as well. Yeah. How about Josh Wallace? He definitely solidified that second corner spot.
That was cool. That was a nice little play. They didn't call it a pick though, did they?
No,
did they call that back?
I think they called it back. But that was just super athletic play by him.
Yeah, still sweet.
Yeah. Hoping that Will Johnson and Rod Moore are back at some point. But I thought Keon Sabb played really well for his first ever start.
I heard his number called a few times.
Yeah, I thought he was really solid. And Makari Page playing like a vet for sure. He's come a long way since a few years ago. So, Dono, you want to come on the pod?
Dono,
big pod.
I can talk in the mic.
Yeah, you can talk in the mic.
Who's these?
This is my Blue by 90 guys.
Okay. Yo, this is Big Dono in the building, man. Shout out to Blue 90. You heard?
What up, Dono?
What's going on, man? What you got for me, man? Is this microphone actually yours?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh yeah,
it's on. What do you got?
What you got, man? I got a workout to do in a second, man. What you got for me, man?
What do you think? No, I can't ask that question. I can't ask you a gambling question.
Come on, bro. Stop BSing me.
Kalen, you ask him a question. My questions are gonna be stupid.
No, you got.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
I just want to know gambling questions.
We don't need to talk gambling, but how'd you feel about yesterday? You feel good?
Bro, I feel great just for the fact of like how well the quarterbacks and the receivers played. Because like I know that their initial game plan was to stop the run, and for the most part they did. Overall we had like 120 yards rushing, but that's kind of going to have to like lighten that's going to like have to have, like instead of like you having to stop the run, like you got to stop the run and the pass, So I'm kind of grateful that how we saw like 8-9 people in the box every play. Like you're going to have to lighten that up,
I feel that.
That's what we talked about earlier.
We talked about it earlier, dude. You're gonna pop one off here next week. I can feel it. We're gonna manifest it on here right now.
Oh, God. And just give me, I just need a little something, So I had people in my face all day yesterday, dog, which they did a hell of a job. And I'm talking to a defense. I'm like, y'all tripping, bro. Like safety's flying down, the linebackers is spilling, the defensive line is twisting. I'm like, y'all tripping. I told the coaches yesterday, I'm like, bro, I'm talking to their coaches. I'm like, bro, I got like 6 carries for like 5 yards. I'm like, bro, this is not like me right here.
But all you need is you're gonna need just that little bit of space, and that's all it's gonna take.
That's all it takes.
We know what that top speed is like.
They gotta pick their poison. That's what I'm saying, man. Shit, you.
At some point, especially like you said, when JJ's balling out with those receivers, like our man CJ out there, then at some point they're gonna have to defend that. So
have to.
Yeah, that's gonna open it up for you and Blake.
That's right, man. Yeah. Anything else, man? I got a workout to do, man. Kevin, you ain't asked nothing.
Go get your lift in, brother.
Go get your lift, bro.
That was great, cuz. That was great.
We appreciate you.
That's it.
All right, Amir's shout out Taylor, Thrive Boss. Go follow Thrive Boss on Instagram.
I'll write down a good one for you later.
All right, y'all have a great one, boys.
I know. What a beauty, that guy. Unbelievable.
Oh man. I mean, it
I
doesn't
just only
get
thought of problematic questions. I'm like, I can't ask that. I can't.
No.
Do not compromise our running back.
I thought you had a good one, and then you're like, they're all gambling. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
We were talking a little bit of quantum physics with him earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little,
he's got an interesting brain, I would say. He's a deep thinker. He's a deep thinker.
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah.
Football guys have brains too, you know.
You guys they've been rattled a little bit, but it just opens up a new line of thinking, right? Some new brain cells.
Yeah.
As Coach Harbaugh always used to say, probably still does, body craves contact.
yeah. That's a classic one. Man, Donna, what a character. Just incredible. How about him? He's just working out here and he walks right in and is like, what do you need? What do you need? But Kalen, Jack, you guys had a chance. You had your chance to ask him a question.
Dude, I was flustered. I'll be honest. Yeah. I had nothing. My brain went silent. More silent than it already is.
That's tough. That's tough to do.
Dude.
Oh man, I love him.
We'll catch him
now.
next time.
Now that he's been on the pod, he's gonna pop one off next week.
Recurring guest. Yeah, soon to be recurring guest.
Yeah. All right. If he scores, then that's pretty much credit to us, I would say.
You'll know why.
Yeah.
I think he'll have to come on every weekend after that.
You'll have to come on. We'll ask him a gambling question.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's going to be another NCAA investigation going on.
That's what was going through my mind. I'm like, I can't do that.
Jackson, like the FBI. Oh man. Speaking of Coach Harbaugh.
Speaking of FBI.
Where do you think Coach Harbaugh watched the game yesterday?
I'm sure
Did
he
watch the
watched
game
it at his house, right?
Did he watch the game? Is a
That's
good question.
another good question.
I don't know.
Of course. You think he didn't watch the game?
I don't know. Sometimes there's like, haven't you seen Moneyball? He's like, I don't watch. You know, maybe he's like, it's like you when you're not in control of it, then you don't want to watch.
I'll be honest. I was kind of expecting to maybe see him at Brown Jug, have a little burger at the bar. He wasn't there.
That would have been like incredible if it wasn't even like a stage thing, but he just like showed up and sat at the bar by himself.
Yeah, it'd be unbelievable.
That'd be electric.
Oh man, I do think I bet you that he was watching it with Jack, right? Or was Jack on the sideline? I didn't see Jack on the sideline.
No, he was there.
He was there. Okay,
he was in the stand.
Yeah.
Phenomenal guy, by the way.
Phenomenal.
One of my all-time favorites.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
Literally, there's one Jack Harbaugh in the world.
Has one of the best Muhammad Ali stories.
What is it? Let's talk.
I'm gonna probably butcher it based on what he says, but the gist of the story is that, and he told this to us when we were, I think it was before one of our games, and he gets up there, he's like, yeah, tell them, his gym was like, tell them Muhammad Ali story. He's like, I don't know. Bah! Like out of nowhere, just, he goes, and then he goes right into the story, and he's talking about how, Muhammad Ali was beating someone so badly. He's like, he's punching him. He's ducking and weaving. He's like, "Bow, what's my name? Bow, what's my name?" And he says it. And I asked him at the golf tournament, and I was like this far away from him, and he did the same thing. I was like, man, I miss that Muhammad Ali story. And he's like, oh, what are you talking about? It got me so good. And, but then he went through and told me how he was telling that story. I don't remember the exact, the whole story, but he was telling that story in front of the Ravens one day when he was at practice at one of John's practices.
Yes.
And he was telling it in front of the whole team for wise words. And he can tell, he's like, I'm looking at these guys and, they're all like looking over my shoulder and looking, and he's like, what's going on? Why are they like all looking at me so weird? And he said he turned around and Muhammad Ali was standing behind him.
Seriously.
And he was like, this was like later on in his life, and he was, barely able to stand and walk. Shape. And he was he was like, "Oh my God, I just told this whole story about this guy and he's fucking standing right behind me this whole time." He said he was so embarrassed.
Embarrassed? Really? I thought it was like so it wasn't like a planned thing, like he was telling the story.
He didn't know.
That's amazing.
That's wild.
If you ever see him and get a chance to talk to him, you should ask him to tell you the Muhammad Ali story because it's fantastic.
The funny thing is that you say that most people are probably like, when am I ever going to get a chance to talk to Jack Harbaugh? He would talk to anybody, and he'll like, no matter who you are, you could be the president of the United States, or you could be, just some random Michigan fan off the street, and he'd sit there and talk to you for an hour.
Yeah, he is a genuine guy, and just it's so cool that he's always around.
Yeah,
and I know that Coach Harbaugh, Jim, I know that he loves having him there.
What do you think, so Coach Harbaugh named him an associate head coach or whatever for these games, which is kind of,
Unreal.
Everyone makes jokes and it's a funny thing. And it's like, so Coach Harbaugh, right, to do that. But what do you think Jack actually brings to the table? Because I feel like behind the scenes, there actually is some true value to that.
Let's not forget how much experience and history that man has in coaching football.
Yeah.
If you want to know why Jim is the way that he is, look at that man. If you want to know why he's so into and so passionate about what he does and about coaching football and playing football, it's because of that guy.
Yeah. He birthed two incredible football coaches that have had the success at the highest level.
Yeah.
So
that man can bring a lot of perspective.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
I would love to see a day in the life of Jack Harbaugh.
What's that?
I would love to see a day in the life of Jack Harbaugh. Just follow him around. What does he do?
I bet you. It's probably we need to have how they put the the cameras on a cat or a dog as they go out. I think it'd be similar where he's just whatever grabs his attention, he's just there for.
But he's so present wherever he is. He's that's the only thing that's happening in the world.
Exactly, which is awesome.
That's why I think he's so likable, is because you were saying, if he's talking to you, you would think you're the only person on planet Earth.
He's locked in.
Yeah. Oh, he's so dialed.
Jim is like that too, isn't he? He's just they're they don't let outside things distract them at all, which is awesome. But yeah, I think transitioning that to the free Harbaugh shirts from JJ and the rest of the team and all that stuff. How much did we love that? First of all, I want to call out the haters online, Michigan State fans, Ohio State, the rest of the world that are all hating on this. It's okay, first of all, they're all like, oh, it's self-imposed, as if JJ was the one that said, yes, I think coach should be suspended. No, they're self-imposing because of the NCAA, right? So I just think that's such a stupid narrative. But for me, what really comes out of it is how much this team loves their head coach and loves where they're at right now, right? The fact that JJ's, showing that they put up the fours, they do all that, that just shows to me the signs of an incredible culture and the fact that they truly are. We kind of said, I said it a few weeks ago when the suspension came down, they really are going to use this as a chip on their shoulder and rally around it, I think.
Oh, yeah. I loved it, dude. When I saw that train formation, I was like, this is fucking
That was
cool.
great.
That was such a classic Jim Harbaugh thing, too. Yeah. I love that. That was a great way to do it. Yeah, I loved it. And I think that, I don't know what they'll wear next week, but maybe it's just khakis. Who knows?
Come off the bus in khakis.
I love that.
Absolutely. I think it's just awesome. Like you said, they're just supporting their guy, that's what it comes down to. And I think it's easy to read way deeper into it than, well, I don't know what stories are out there, but it seemed like you were referencing something that maybe people are extrapolating something from that's trying to put a spin on it. But dude, they their head coach wasn't there at the game. They're supporting their head coach.
Yeah. It's not that deep. They're just trying to support
that's really it. Yeah, that's 100%. That's it. So, the haters are going to be there forever. There's no doubt. Especially, we've noticed in the past 2 years, the haters from Michigan come out in tenfold when they're good. When they're at the top, that's when the most haters of Michigan come out.
I don't know, dude. I think people just love to hate on Michigan
forever,
constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Good, bad, ugly.
Did you feel that going into every stadium?
Oh yeah, we always got people's best game, and that's why you come to Michigan. That's why people, when they're 17, 16, 18 years old, like, decide that they want to go to Michigan, is because, like, yes, you have a target on your back, but there's a reason. And it's because of the history and the tradition and what the team does year in and year out,
I love it. I love it. It is. I mean, it's definitely, I will say, it's an interesting dynamic of everything, because Michigan, I think, like you said, no matter what, whether they're at the top or the bottom, you're still getting everyone's best shot, and everyone wants to take advantage of you, or wants to be the guys that do beat you.
Right.
Right.
And that's when you're doing something right.
Exactly.
If you are getting everyone's best shot, it's because it's coming from a place of respect. Whether they admit that or not is one thing, but there's obviously a level of respect for the program, and it's the same thing with in Alabama. Like, anyone who goes and plays Alabama is they're trying to knock off the best. I forget who was saying, one of the guys on the team maybe a couple weeks ago, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's wherever you stand in that pecking order. If someone is above you, you're giving it, it's no secret that you're trying to knock that person off, and vice versa. If someone's below you, there's no secret they're trying to knock you off, because that's how you get to where you want to get.
I love it. I mean, I think it's an interesting and it's an interesting way to think about things for Michigan this season, because they're going to be the hunted for the entire year, right? Even for Ohio State now, they've become the hunted, and Ohio State is the hunter, right? I think that it's just very different from the last 10 years, right? So my question would be, how do you handle yourself? Do you handle yourself differently, or is it, are you going about things the same way as if you didn't win anything last year?
I think you have to bring the confidence of, knowing that you can achieve what you have achieved because you put it on tape. But also, if you rest on your laurels, that is gone in a second. All it takes is one day, and that's, it wipes off anything you did last week, anything you did last year. It's such a trap. I think you have to approach it as if you are the one who's trying to knock the big dog off every single time, no matter who it is you're playing, because that's how you stay, hungry and not fall into that trap.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say that's I think, the perspective of where, it sounds like the program's at, and JJ, those guys being hey, we were 13-0 last year, lost in the college football playoff. We know we can have the success, but it's we got to take it a step further. It seems like they have that mentality, and I hope they do, and it feels like they do. Where it's we got to still go out and we still have something to prove every single week, which is cool, man. I think that, everybody's talking about this is Harbaugh's best team that he's ever had, and now we've seen JJ is just a monster at quarterback that we already kind of knew, but he can. He's slinging the ball around. We know we've got two incredible running backs. We've got great receivers. Defense is great. It seems like this is the year, but it just seems like they're not letting it get to their head, and they're hey, we still know that we've got to be able to beat Georgia. We've got to be able to beat the best teams in the country to prove that we're number one.
Yeah.
If you think these guys are satisfied with going to the playoff and losing, you don't know these guys. And that's not coming from a place of talking shit about that. I was never in the playoff as a player. And so they it's not enough unless you come home at the end of the season with a win, at the highest level. And that, I think, is definitely not lost with, it seems like, with the guys on this team.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I think it's huge too. Like, and this speaks to some of the coaching, is like getting your players bought in and like getting a chip on their shoulder, even if they don't need a chip on their shoulder, right? We saw it with like Georgia last year, where they're literally just like making up like nobody thinks you can win, even though they were national title holder, right? So like getting the team to like, you know, buy into that, like, you know, nobody believes in us but us. I think there's a lot of value in that too.
Totally agree. And you got to remember too, like, the guys on this team are like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. Like, yeah.
Right.
Like, there's the level of maturity that some of these guys are showing is incredible, because it's really easy as an 18-year-old kid if you come in and all you know is win. Like, it's not an easy thing to handle as a young kid.
Right. Hard to keep
Or
up.
at all, even as an old kid.
Yeah, and you're also like you're the best guy in your high school team, right?
Yeah.
And you come in and you're fourth on the depth chart or something like that as a skinny little freshman that's just trying to find his way, right?
Oh yeah,
like, that's super hard to grasp, because you're the king. You were just the king, and you've been told you're the king in the recruiting process and all that. Then you get on campus and it's like, all right, you're nothing, you know, essentially. You got to earn your spot. I do think some guys respond well to that. Some guys don't.
Yeah, there's been plenty of people in throughout college football and pro football and whatever, that you come in and you expect that it's just going to be as easy as it was in high school. And it, you know, for most guys, for a couple of guys, they're just, you know, hands and whatever they say over the competition, and they can like come in and be a day one starter. But like, most guys are not like that. I can only speak for myself, but like, when I got to Michigan as a freshman, I was like 220 pounds, 225 pounds, baby. And like, I needed a full year to even get strong enough to be able to play college football.
I mean, even last year, JJ is a 5-star, one of the top recruits in the country at any position. It still, you know, takes him, 2 years ago, but you know what I mean? Like, it took him a whole year to get the starting job.
Yeah.
Will Johnson was a 5-star, you know, and it took him half the year to win that role. Like, it's just really hard when you're, you know, unless you're like truly the guy, like it's really difficult. But you know, I think that honestly, what I love about this team is like there's 5-star guys that don't act like 5-star guys. Like, they all, even Blake and Donovan, you know, we just heard him giving shout outs to everybody. They act like they're, you know, nobodies, right? Essentially, they love the rest of the team and they give props to everybody, you know? So I think that what does that have on the impact of the team as a whole?
A huge impact. And that's a culture thing. And that starts from the top. You know, I've been on a lot of football teams in my life, and the ones that have been the most successful from my experience are the ones where the locker room is the tightest, and where it's not, we're all like, for example, when I was here, it was always, hey, if you go talk to the media, if it's a positive, you're talking about your teammates. If it's a negative, you're talking about yourself. And that is the culture here. That's just how you do it. And that's like a very, you know, classic Michigan, even just a football culture thing, is like, you got to be able to handle that. You got to be able to handle the shit if you're going to go out and talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. And I think that it's all is well while you're winning too, you know? And then, like, you know, we saw it in 2021. There are two ways that you can respond to that Michigan State loss, right? Devastating loss that to your rival, that at the time, like, knocked you out of contention, took away your undefeated season essentially. And I think that there are a lot of teams out there that they fold, they start, instead of taking the blame by themselves, like you said, they're pointing at the defense. The offense is saying, well, if you guys would have just made that stop, then we win. And then the defense is saying, well, if you didn't fumble, then we win. But instead, like, they took it upon themselves to get better and own it. And that's what led to their run, I think, for the past, 18 games now, right? More than that, probably. But it really, the culture shift has been the biggest piece. And like you said, I think people underestimate that, because you can have as much talent as you want, but if you're not all on the same page, you're not gonna, go out and win a championship.
Right.
And like you want to look around the Big Ten at all?
Oh yeah, good call. Wrap it up.
Ohio State.
Wrap that up real quick.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like you said, it's really easy to be a tight knit group until something bad happens, and that's when you really see if you're actually a tight knit group, if you're just a group that says they're tight knit.
Yeah, I like it. I think Michigan's in it.
Donovan.
That wish I would have thought of that earlier. Yeah, let's look around the country real quick. I think there are some good games. We'll get to the Big Ten, but how about Colorado? Are they the real deal?
I fucking love that quarterback, man.
Dude, he's so 510 yards.
Travis Hunter, also what? He had like 20 snaps on offense, 30 snaps on defense or something.
Yeah. Insane.
Did they say he played like 120? I don't know. Something crazy. So I can't remember who was saying that, but that's absolutely insane. Here's my take on it, though. To be honest with you, I'm still doubting. I'm still a hater and a doubter of Colorado because I think TCU stinks. I think TCU lost everybody last year, and so I think that win by the end of the year is not going to look like great. And I think Colorado is still going to. It's a good win for them, coming off a 1-11 year, like still really good win, all things considered. But I think that at the end of the year, they're still going to be like 6-6, and TCU is not going to be good either. That's not going to be a good win. That's just my prediction.
As a fan of a football team that lost to TCU the last game of the year last year, I would like to think TCU is a very, very good team. So I'm gonna push back on that one. I think they got a great culture, and I just think Colorado's the real deal. They should be a top 5 team after that win.
All right, there you go. I like that spin.
Love their coach.
Love their coach. Bowling Green, who we play in 2 weeks, lost to Liberty, 34-24. So that should be an absolute blowout. I did see UNLV beat Bryant University like by a lot. So maybe
like a community college somewhere. Or?
I don't know. It's got to be FCS, right? Like I don't know. So we'll see. But they at least they're 1-0. So battle of the undefeateds. That's what I'm. That's how I'm pinning it. Let's see. Iowa. Cade McNamara, 24-14.
He was
24 points is a lot for them.
For Iowa, that's a lot.
Yeah. They weren't all defensive points.
Did you guys see that stat? It may have been fake. It may have been real, but it was like the first time that Iowa's scored an opening drive with a passing touchdown since 91.
So I saw that. Like BTN put that out, I think, or something like that. Is an insane stat. How is that possible?
I'm like, I don't know if it's like fake or not, but it's believable enough to be real.
Yeah. I mean, here's my take on it. Cade makes them better for sure.
Absolutely.
Eric Hall makes them better for sure. I still think they need more than 2 new guys to make that offense. To make that offense good at all.
Hey man, what happens if they win out? Could happen.
It's a good question. Shout out Cade. Shout out
big
Cade.
Battle of the undefeateds.
That might be battle of the undefeateds too. You never know. Let's see.
Shout out Kirk Ferentz real quick too.
Shout out Kirk Ferentz
What
for
a guy.
just getting a lifetime contract for going 8-4 every year. Finesser of the world.
Yeah.
Big culture guy.
Big culture guy. Wisconsin beat Buffalo 38-17. They looked all right.
How'd Tanner Mordecai do?
I mean, I think they did all right. I have no idea really, but I was watching the Malusi guy and then Braylon Allen. I think their running back, their run game is pretty good. I like Fickell. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah. I know we wanted him, or I'll say I wanted him that 2020 year, trying to get rid of Harbaugh.
Yeah. No, I know.
Not my proudest
Ohio
moment.
State wanted him too, I think. A lot of people now are like, we should have went with Fickell over Ryan Day.
Oh, yeah.
Which, speaking of the devil, 23 points for Ohio State.
And what? There was like 3 targets between Harrison Jr. and
Harrison had 2 catches for 18 yards, I think.
That's tough.
Is McCord bad? Like
I hope so.
I think there's 2 questions here, because one was like, is McCord a Heisman versus like just a good quarterback, or is he just
bad?
Because like you're it's tough to beat CJ Stroud, right, with how good he was last year, except for against Michigan, where I don't know if you know this, but they only scored 3 points in the second half against Michigan.
That's tough.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. McCord did not look comfortable in there.
I love it.
Yeah. Ohio State quarterbacks, they always start really poor, right? Like even CJ Stroud, remember the fan base hated him at the beginning. And that's just how it goes for them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I will just I won't believe it till I see it. I need more than one game to see this, because they could for sure come out they could for sure come out tomorrow and or next week and put up 70.
Let's not forget how dangerous that team can be and is. Yeah. I think they obviously have a very good system down there, and they've had some great quarterbacks. Great quarterbacks.
Is McCord penciled in starter, or they still have like some sort of battle going on down there? Do we know?
We've never even seen the other guy, right?
No, I mean, we did in camp. I don't know. Did he play yesterday? Because they really didn't they weren't up enough to put in. I mean, they
go back up.
I will say, Indiana stinks, in my opinion. They're honestly. So they were. I really do believe, maybe their defense is better, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. What if I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not expecting it, but what if Ohio State's just 9-3? What if they're 9-3?
Incredible. I would be a happy guy.
That'd be great.
I don't watch enough sports to comment on this conversation. I also don't have Wi-Fi right now, so I have no TV.
It's been
living that caveman lifestyle.
They're coming on Wednesday to fix it.
He's a monk right now. Yeah,
I'm more a History Channel, Science Channel kind of guy.
There you go. You going with Xfinity, AT&T? What do you got?
We've got Xfinity Fiber, I believe.
Ooh. I don't. Yeah. That's one of those words I don't know what it means, but it sounds fancy.
It's just good.
I think
marketing.
It means fast.
You would think, but it actually, as of this past week, means no Wi-Fi.
Not great so far.
Yeah, I feel like that is definitely. It's like 5G. They just made up a word and they're like, "This is sweet." Yeah. And now, now we all are just like, "Okay, we believe it," because we don't know enough about it to dispute it.
What else am I going to do? Not get Wi-Fi?
Right. Exactly.
What about Penn State?
I was just gonna say,
right?
I mean, it was a slow start. I thought West Virginia was hanging in. I watched it last night. West Virginia was hanging in there for a while, but I think Drew Allard is the real deal as the Penn State quarterback, and their 2 running backs are studs. So I don't know. I mean, here's my take, I guess. My take is that Drew Allard and J.J. McCarthy will be better than whoever Ohio State's quarterback is for the year.
I love that callback right there.
Nice.
That's good.
There you go.
Is JT Daniels still the quarterback at West Virginia?
Yes, he was. He's got to be 28, right?
I was just going to say, he's got to be old as fuck like us.
He's on his 3rd or 4th school now.
What did he start at? USC. Then went to
Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Then lost. He's lost every QB job that he's transferred to win until
Martell, baby.
I don't know. Maryland beat the shit out of who was it? Towson, 38-6. I mean, that I'm looking ahead. That could be our trap game. It's in between Penn State and Ohio State. I'm a little worried about that one if they have a pretty good offense there.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Were we talking about JT Daniels?
Yeah.
He's the QB at Rice.
Shut the fuck up.
Wait, was he not? Who was there? Oh yeah, it was something green, Hunter Green or something.
Riley Green.
I almost said Riley Green.
That'd be incredible. Riley Green played football in college.
Did he?
I think he played quarterback. Jacksonville State or something like that.
See, so he could be.
It could be.
Yeah,
could be. Came back.
Prove me wrong.
Love that guy's music.
I love Riley Green on the Tigers.
Yeah, there's also a Riley Green on the Tigers.
There is.
I thought that's who we were talking about.
No, I was talking about the country singer.
So he plays baseball, sings country, and plays football. That's unbelievable.
He's the QB at Rice. He's the center fielder for the Tigers.
And he's like one of the most popular country singers out. Right now.
It's unbelievable.
What a stud.
A multifaceted human being.
Yeah.
Illinois had to kick a field goal to beat Toledo as the buzzer went off.
Strong program down there in Toledo.
Brett, they are. The Rockets are strong. Brett Bielema, he probably tweeted about Michigan, like something. I don't know. He's just a complainer. And you know how they used to, like, the opposing fans used to say Brady Hoke, like, he looks like he smells like hot dog juice. Brett Bielema looks like he smells like hot dog juice.
Don't do my man Hoke like that.
I love Brady Hoke. That's what people were saying about him. Is that
Brady Hoke?
Coach Hoke, if you're listening to this, that was not me saying that. I love you.
Did we miss any Big Ten games, Kalen?
I don't think so. I think those are the big ones. Purdue lost.
Well, MSU. We haven't talked about MSU on Friday night.
MSU.
Big win.
Big win.
Big win.
Chippewas are a juggernaut.
Fire up, baby. Dan Lefevre, Antonio Brown.
Let's also not forget Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
Please.
Yeah.
That's an all-time name right there.
That is.
Cooper Rush. Great golfer, too.
Really?
I think he's like a maybe 2 or 3 handicap.
Wow. That's how are you like?
You need to start spreading around the athleticism, Doug.
It's a quarterback thing.
Fair.
Well, I never said I was a 2 or 3 handicap.
Well,
not yet.
He needs to.
He needs to spread around.
He needs help. Yeah.
That's super unfair.
He was a great golf buddy back in Dallas. He and Sean McEwen, Ben DiNucci, Damian Ratley for a little bit.
Speaking of the Big Ten, Northwestern and Rutgers are playing right now.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. 7-0 Rutgers at the end of the first.
Birthplace.
Maybe.
There you go.
Rutgers Northwestern's got to be like, I mean, that game's got to be the Peacock one, right? Like, we can't be doing Michigan.
Right.
Quintessential Big Ten football.
Because I don't think we can't even like watch a replay of that game.
No, it's so stupid. So stupid.
Really?
AJ Henning, 1 catch for 26 yards.
Who does he play for?
Northwestern.
No shit.
Yeah. Interesting. LSU Florida State tonight. That's going to be a fun one.
I'm excited.
And then our Clemson Tigers tomorrow night versus Duke. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
I've got a question about the transfer portal.
Oh, love it.
Are kids just allowed to transfer without sitting out as many times as they want?
No,
or is
I believe it's
a one-time thing. Or?
It's one time.
No.
It's one time, and then you can do it again, but you have to sit. Right?
Okay.
Are you sure?
But you can use your 5th year to basically not sit.
Okay. So one-time transfer, and then you can grad transfer.
Got it.
Yeah.
And start.
Which it feels like every guy graduates in 3 years now. I don't know why. Like, that seems difficult to do while playing football, but they all do.
Do a lot of them maybe start early?
Yeah, that's true. They do
early?
Start a semester early, usually, because they're coming early enrollment.
Probably doing summer classes and shit too.
Yeah, That's a good point. How do you feel about the portal?
I don't know. I think probably for a player, it gives them a lot of flexibility to, go do something that's in their best interest. But I can also see from the other side of it of if there's nothing stopping them, then it's like you put in a lot of work to recruit someone, and if they leave after 1 year, like let's say you get there and you think you're going to start as a freshman and you don't, and you just decide to leave because of that. I think that maybe is not the best thing, even for the kid.
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Going from Ohio State to Texas. I mean, it worked out for him in Texas, but
yeah, there's always going to be,
I think there's success stories
sure.
and not success stories.
Yeah.
Well, I also think it helps out programs like Michigan too, where you've got a great culture. Like you're probably not going to have, guys transferring like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it'll be interesting to watch
build good culture.
To watch experiments like Colorado, right? Teams that are entirely built from the whole transfer portal, basically.
Yeah.
If they turn out to be a great team, it's like, how much does culture matter if you just have incredible athletes to rebuild your program?
Yeah. Well, I think part of what Dion is doing there is culture, though.
Right.
Like that's his whole, I think, at least from what I've seen. Again, I don't watch a ton of the old sports channels, but from what I've seen and heard of him is like he's trying to be a culture guy. And he's definitely an infectious personality enough to where he can totally create a culture around that. And I mean, it seems like the guys love him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know, man. You don't even have internet. I don't know if I can trust you.
I wouldn't trust me if I were you.
Well, let's ask this last question here to you, and then we'll wrap up. Are you what, Dono? I'm talking about you. I said you're the greatest.
I got a good question for you, Dono.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're sweating right now.
1 second, my friend.
Amir's gonna be mad at you.
You got a question?
Kalen, get that question.
Okay, so you and me, we're doing Oklahoma drill. What's more likely to happen first? You knock me out or you break my ankles?
How much do you weigh?
185.
Yeah, your helmet will come off. That's a good question, my friend.
That was good.
I did.
You to knock him out or you to break his ankle?
No, his helmet will come off. I'm running through him. Yeah.
But how easy would it be to break his ankles as well?
Not hard. Especially
not
after
hard.
You if you watch the game, I hit my man with the Blake Corn shuffle.
You give him a little Zaza?
Yeah, you don't see it. I sent it to Blake just till I was like, "You see it, cuz?" I did it.
Back in my day, we used to call that the courtesy of AJ Juice Williams.
Oh my God!
Watch the safety right there. You see, I'm talking shit too. You see?
Oh yeah.
We got put that close to the camera.
Yeah, put it on the camera.
Let's see that.
We can't put it out.
It's from the trouble. We're not allowed to share.
Fair enough.
The old Exos film.
We'll see you do it next week.
I saw that.
That's a great question, man. But you will get your ankles
Good to see you.
I'm gone.
Uh-oh.
Dono out here getting work in on an off day. Day after a game, still getting that workout in.
Just a consummate professional.
That's the difference, baby.
Unreal.
I remember once in high school, we lost our homecoming game, and all of my buddies and I decided we were going to go lift our sorrows away in our weight room right after the game.
That's Tim Tebow, Tim Tebow Florida swamp move.
Midnight to 2 a.m. lift.
It was incredible. We were so pissed.
That's awesome. All right, we'll end it on Dono. There, what a king.
Just a beauty.
Jeez, it doesn't. I love how I didn't even have to be like, "Yo, can you come out of the pod?" He literally was just like walking over, like he had some stuff to say. So. All right, shout out Donovan Edwards, the Don. And for us, we'll see you guys next week. Well, we'll have a pod upcoming to talk UNLV a little bit, and And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys at next week's tailgate. Want to give another shout out to North Peak Brewing. Go check out Hale IPA. You can find it at Bushes and Plums. You can also go to Pretzel Bell, Grizzly Peak, Blue Tractor, any of those. Jolly Pumpkin. They've also got their brewery, the pub in Dexter, Traverse City as well.
That's my favorite one.
We might hopefully we'll be getting Blue by 90 beer there.
Maybe a little live pod at Jolly Pumpkin and Dexter.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Not opposed. A little truffle pizza.
Love that.
Yeah, they got some good pizza too.
I like that. All right. Shout out them. Shout out North Peak. For us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 Podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Still got it. Smooth.
Got it, baby.
Go Blue, baby.
Great. Go
Talk
Blue.
about a consummate professional.